Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to What's on the Playlist today. Today, I'll talk about the album Los Angeles by the band X, an image of which you will sort of see here. If you're wondering why this doesn't match the image I have over my shoulder, is that when CDs were first new, people didn't think they would sell well. So bands that didn't think were going to get a lot of sales, they would frequently put two albums on a single CD. So that's what this is. I have Los Angeles and their debut album, and then the second album, Wild Gift. So it's efficient, saves on storage space, and they also used to charge us, the price of a single CD. It's only like $14, but they don't do that anymore. So anyway, the band X, their debut album, Los Angeles. We all have our little, like, people who are into music and stuff. We have our own little hooks, what I like to call hooks, things that draw us in. And I've always admitted that, two of my hooks are acoustic guitars and good vocals. This has none of that. So this is one of those things that's kind of sort of outside of my usual comfort zone. During my punk rock days, heavy metal days of my 19s and 20s, I had a short little stint of being really into some stuff that's outside of what I usually listen to. The band X was introduced to me by a roommate, a woman named Kristen, who I haven't thought of in years, actually. She was just a roommate. We were not involved. Just someone who I shared an apartment with, and we used to party together. She was a lot of fun. But anyway, she was a big fan of, she introduced me to a lot of different music, for which I will always be grateful. One of those bands being X. X is a punk band out of LA, and formed in the late 1970s by guitarist John Doe and the drummer, whose name I can't remember off the top of my head. John Doe used to let his girlfriend, Exene Cervenka, come in and hang out with them, and she eventually joined the band to be their main lyricist. And also songwriter. Not my main song, but all the songs were basically written by John Doe and Exene Cervenka. That is not her real name. I think her real name was Christine, but she went under Exene, which was fine. I didn't care. But a little side note: when I was looking into this, Exene Cervenka in the mid-90s was actually married to Viggo Mortensen for a while, the actor who played Aragorn in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. She was married to that dude. Lucky woman. Anyway, back to X. They were, big into the punk scene, and this album, she does not have a good singing voice. She screams in the microphone. It's hard punk music. Lyrics are a bit more thoughtful than you think of in a lot of punk music. I think of punk music, I think of, the Ramones, and the Sex Pistols. Lyrics which are very simple and don't really seem to say very much. But John Doe and Exene Cervenka are better lyricists than most. Having said that, most of their songs are fairly simple, but they're also a bit they sound a bit melancholy to me, part rage, part sadness, whereas mostly think of punk rock as just all anger, rage, and frustration, but there's a bit of sorrow in here that I think is kind of what hooked me into it. I owe a lot of that. I think a lot of that is owed to Exene's voice. She has a certain quality to it. She's not just screaming rage. They also do a cover of Soul Kitchen, which is a Doors tune. And I'm going to be honest, I like their version better. The Doors version of Soul Kitchen is much more slow and ponderous. Whereas this is more, this is a punk rock song. This is heavy and fast. And it's unusual that I like the cover more than I like the original. So I'll give them that. But, I really love this album. Your Phone's Off the Hook, Johnny Hit and Run Pauline, Soul Kitchen, Nausea, which is actually the song that got me interested in the album. Basically, it's a song about being hungover. Sugar Light, Los Angeles, Sex and Dying in High Society, The Unheard Music, and The World's a Mess, It's in My Kiss. This album got some notice when it was first released. A lot of these songs have been, several of these songs have been used in like movies and TV shows, like as background music playing in the background. Nothing like major to the scene, but you know, it's been referenced. This album and this band was influential to the punk rock scene as being one of the earliest ones that seemed to resonate outside the punk community. Rolling Stones magazine listed Los Angeles, the album, as in their top 100 hits, top 100 albums to come out of the 1980s. This is ranked 24. And when they came up with their top 500 albums of all time back in like in the early 2000s, this hit the list as well. So I didn't realize that this album was that popular in the music community. You know, Rolling Stones is less about like what's popular and with ordinary people like you and me, and more like what's influential and what other artists and music think about other artists and music. It sounds kind of pretentious, and it is, but I give them a bit more credit than some other music critics. That's just me, I guess. I grew up in Rolling Stones as the counterculture magazine, as opposed to the, you know, mainstream music media it's become. Maybe some sentimental holdover from my youth, but I don't hear people talking about this anymore, considering how well it was received and how well it's been regarded historically. Because it is punk rock, I find it harder to recommend because not everyone's going to really get into this hard, heavy type of music. I did go to see them live once. They opened for Warren Zevon, which was a weird mix of musical styles, but I was there for it. And Exene was like 6 months pregnant during that particular concert, so she wasn't quite as energetic on stage as I've heard she has been otherwise. But that's an aside note. Anywho, you know, if you like that kind of hard, fast, heavy music, I would definitely recommend you listen to this. It's a good album. And I don't have everything by them. I think I've got like 4 or 5 of their albums. I think this is definitely one of my favorites. It's a good album. So, because I don't segue well, as always, thanks for watching. As always, this is Crap. And until next time, good hunting.